Apparently, Putin's tax cuts are here. Remember, if it was Putin's tax hikes last month or 2 months ago because the prices of stuff were going up so much, and now it's Putin's tax cuts are here because the prices of stuff are moderating. So let me just show you a couple of comments that kind of crap me up. Let's see here. I want to go here. Hold on a sec. This is funny. Inflation is higher in Europe and around the world. Thanks Biden for being lower in the USA. So again, if the prices are going up, we blame Putin. If the prices are going, and they're not going up, but if they're going down, we reward Biden. And apparently it's working. Apparently Biden's poll numbers are going up significantly. Jim Lehman from the Lehman Brothers says that it's not Biden, it's a global issue. Blame the world. Only political bias thinkers look at inflationary period and blame any one person. Dude, of course. I don't know if Jim's new to my channel or not, but the idea of blaming Biden specifically is just silly. It's thanks Biden, thanks Obama, thanks Biden. Come on, lighten up, dog. You are an ignorant when it comes to politics, Josh, as your bias leads your thoughts. And again, I just say ignorant. I'm about ignorant means you don't know. Doesn't mean you're stupid. Or doesn't mean you disagree. Ignorant means you don't know. I'm not ignorant about politics, but I appreciate him saying it's a global issue. Exactly. So we're going to go over here to the conservative treehouse. As a result of Western governments taking collective action against the auspices of climate change, we are on the cusp of something happening with ramifications no one has seen before. Western governments are intentionally trying to lower economic activity to meet the intentional drop in energy production. This is a core consequence of Build Back Better. Exactly. Anyone who says there's a reference point to determine both the short-term and long-term consequences is lying. There is no precedent for nations collectively and intentionally trying to reduce economic activity. 100%. Hiding behind the false justification that current inflation is driven by too much demand, too much money chasing too few goods, i.e. too much demand. You got to break through your Friedmanite stuff. It ain't true, man. It's not true. We're seeing it now. It's not too much money chasing too few goods. Central banks in Europe, the Bank of America, Bank of Canada, Bank of England, U.S., are raising interest rates. The outcome we are currently feeling is an intentional economic contraction and global recession. Yep. Underneath all this is a drop in energy production in the same nations trying to lower economic activity. The policy makers are attempting to manage this process without informing the citizens of the unspoken goal. Shortages of coal, oil, natural gas are self-inflicted and all part of the Build Back Better agenda. I could not agree more. And shortages of nuclear power as well. So the issue that we have to contend with is that that Putin is actually in on this globalist thing. I actually completely agree. I'm not agree. I completely have come to that conclusion now. Because remember, Putin was a young global leader with the World Economic Forum. He was in the 90s or something like that. I don't think he's changed stripes. I don't. I think what is happening now is you have a bunch of elitists in the West. And if you look back at the Rockefellers, just look at David Rockefeller, his bio. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've heard of tidbits of it. You look back, they want a globalist cabal. And they have it. They don't care about, let's see if I can't find that famous David Rockefeller quote. Literally from David Rockefeller's bio, the Rockefeller clan. This is the people here. Some even believe we, the Rockefeller family, are part of the secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States. Characterizing my family and me as internationalists and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political economic structure, one world, if you will. If that's the charge, I am guilty. Window of opportunity during which a truly peaceful and interdependent world order might be built will not be open for long. We are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is a right major crisis and the nations will accept Build Back Better. He calls it the New World Order. So that's David Rockefeller. And but nah, man, that's just crazy talk. No, it's not crazy. I mean, look, you can believe what you want. All right, so let's think about what the New World Order people want. The globalist cabal, here's Stone Pablo, by the way. They don't like people. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, they like themselves, but there's too many people. They don't want to rub shoulders with you and I, the plebes. If you look at the Club of Rome, you go back. So what's happened? in the 80s when Reagan came to be, and I think that was a blow to the cabal in some regard. I think Reagan and Trump were both blows to the cabal, but they still populated their governments with globalists, man. I mean, just look at the people who ran the Reagan administration, the Trump administration. It's sad, but that's to show you the president doesn't have a whole lot of chops when it comes to this stuff. He just doesn't. He doesn't run the government. The government is running by globalists, the State Department, things of that nature. Anyway, so in the 80s, right when the Reagan started coming, you see a huge influx of nuclear war stuff. Just look at newspapers.com. It's nuts, man, how much just like an explosion of concerns about nuclear war. So from the early 80s, then we had that movie, that 1 second, no, I forgot what the world, the day after, scared the hell out of me, man. The day after about nuclear war. And it's like, oh. And so that scared a number of people. And a number of people probably did not have children because of that, because of the fear. I don't want to bring any children into a world that's going to be, a dystopian with nuclear carnage, nuclear winter. All right. So then we fast forward until when Reagan is starting to go on the back end, and we go into 1988 with James Hansen, the scientist from NASA, the legitimate guys at NASA, testifying before the Senate, with Tim Wirth, a senator from Colorado, who basically shut off all the air conditioning and opened up the windows to make the Senate room, where the Senate office building, I think, where they're doing their testimony. Everyone's sweating pigs because it's in June in Washington, D.C., in the middle of a heat wave. A very good visual, just like Pablo's very good visual. And people are like, oh my goodness, global warming. And that started the whole thing with global warming. And then we have the massive pause, which we still are in, with the world, the heat isn't really changing much, so they change it to climate change, and they say, look at all the increases in various things. There's no increases in droughts. There's no increases in hurricanes. It's silly, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It matters what the narrative is. So now you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to bring children. AOC and other idiots, they don't want to bring children into a world that's going to be burning alive because of climate change. I mean, you read this guy, Chris Hedges, and Caitlin Johnston. And I don't know if these people have children or not, but I almost guarantee you don't, because they're so scared of nuclear war and climate carnage. It's insane, man. It's insane, like the level of fear these people have. It's quite frightening, actually, because they're literally just crazy scared. It's nuts. And then you have the COVID stuff and the various things that go with that. We know for a fact there are less children being born now than there were just 3 years ago. That is a fact. We thought it might be more making whoopee when the lockdowns happened. Nope, people were scared crapless of that too. You can see these people; they're like it's crazy, man. My wife was telling me about this lady with a mask on the other day. I was like, this is nuts. And so if you're scared crapless, you don't have people. So all this stuff has worked well. To reduce the population, never mind with all the crap we're putting in our bodies. That's worked well. I mean, we see it now. The population will start declining the latter part of this century. But it's not quick enough. And don't forget, we still have to run with a rabble-rouser. We don't want, if I'm a Rockefeller and I'm an elite, Jamie Gorelick and Franklin Raines from the government and whoever, Kissinger's and all these guys, I don't, freaking Maya, is it Maya, Joe Scarborough's wife, whatever, Brzezinski, whatever her name. I don't want to run in the airport with a rabble-rousers. I don't want that. I'm an elite. I want my elite, and I don't want to be sitting and have to go through security with these people. So what's the thing you do? Is you reduce consumption. How do you do that? Because it hasn't worked so far, especially when consumption, people are saying, I got cheap airline, I got cheap cruise ships, I can get stuff delivered cheaply, because we know transportation is a huge cause of CO2. It's not just CO2 anymore. It's nitrous oxide and methane. It's weird. It's like all the global greenhouse gases are really we're really angry at those things. Not just CO2, never mind water vapor. But anyway, so now they're sitting there saying, well, this worked, but not nearly as quickly as we wanted. So how do we make people not consume as much? Because I truly believe some of these people in the elite do believe climate is dying. I truly believe that. If they see a forest fire, they say it's climate change. And of course, a forest fire is a wonderful thing, other than if you built your house in there, I grant you, because it regenerates the forest. It literally is what happens. This is not debatable. But they see that and they say, oh my goodness, I'm next. And so they say we have too many people, we have too much CO2 populate, pollutants, and too many people eating meat. Now I still want to eat my meat because I'm an elite, but those people over there, it used to just be India, China, third world countries, Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. But now it's like we know no matter what we do with those countries, it doesn't matter unless the West reduces consumption. And the West isn't reducing consumption. They're still flying. They're still taking cruises. They're still rubbing shoulders with us. So how can we get the West to reduce consumption? Well, we can have a war. And then we can say, Russia, mandate that Germany doesn't get as much natural gas. Mandate that your natural gas usage won't come here. Thus, and I don't even know if it's true. I mean, it probably is, but still, mandate that the war is putting the kibosh on our ability to live a high consumption life like the West is accustomed to. And as such, Spain, Germany, UK, you can't turn your air conditioners lower than 80 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. You can't turn your heat higher than 66 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter. You can't go on these travels. We're going to reduce the amount of people who are working in the airports, cancel flights. All these things are happening. I mean, it's crazy, man. And guess who benefits? Well, Putin does. Well, why would they want Putin to benefit? Because it's short-term stuff. And by the way, the globalists still benefit. They don't care if Putin benefits or the United States benefits. Well, he keeps doing something funny. They still benefit. They don't care about us. Just because Putin is on the receiving end of this, that just makes it even more likely that Putin was in on it. Because it's like, I benefit. My popularity is surging in Russia. I benefit. And you're like, yeah, but we don't. But the globalists don't care. I just told you about David Rockefeller. It's kind of like, I think it's Khrushchev. Khrushchev, the commissar of the Soviet Union. And basically, Khrushchev, and drop off Khrushchev, one of those guys, I can't remember, but he took his mom to his dacha, because that's where all the rich elite had these countryside dachas, over by the Black Sea or something like that. And he said, showed his mom around. I said, look, Mom, I've made it. Look at this. And she goes, oh, Nikita, this is great, but what if the party finds out? Because he basically sold his soul. He was no longer a party member that was digging ditches for a living, trying to be equal. He was like, no, I'm beyond that now. Now, I don't think it's Khrushchev. It was one of those guys, and I don't think his name drop off. There's another guy in between. I forgot. Beria, but he was never a premier. I can't remember. Anyway, but that's it. David Rockefeller. But what if the Americans find out? I don't care about the Americans. I just care about the global elite. Yeah, but why would you do that? Well, because we have some communists in there, for sure. And not communists the way you and I think. It's Khrushchev communists. We got the dachas. They don't. They also have some people who are loyal to Putin. I get that. Probably have some people loyal to America. But at the end of the day, loyalty is to the globalist cabal. And the globalist cabal doesn't care if America rises and Putin falls or vice versa. They just care, reduce the population, reduce consumption, and let us keep our dachas. It's just that simple. And that's what's happening, man. It's a managed decline. The idea that there are people in our government, in the State Department, who are putting America front and center, you're freaking nuts, dudes. And then you say, well, we can vote these guys out. They did it in New Zealand. They did it in UK. Well, not UK yet, but, the Tories are going down. They didn't in Australia. They voted for Labour. I mean, again, because there's no opposition party. The opposition party in freaking Canada to Trudeau was nothing. I mean, they're on board with all this crap. The opposition party in the UK, they're on board. Build Back Better. Australia, the opposition party, what used to be the Liberals, the Conservatives, they got trounced. Why? Because there's no opposition to this. And Jacinda in New Zealand, I mean, what a fool, man. There's no opposition there either. What's the opposition party here? Yeah. Well, the opposition party doesn't matter if the votes, I'm going to wink there if you know what I'm saying, here in Fulton County. It's weird how some of these groups are very adamant about having not mail-in ballots like Amazon, Google, and stuff. When Starbucks comes to unionizing, but if it comes to actually electing your world leader, we need to have mail-in ballots. Very odd. It's very odd how in Los Angeles County, California, they're very specific about getting rid of a third of the signatures to recall this clown because of improprieties. But when it comes to other counties, we're not going to do that. Very odd. So there you go. part and parcel, man. So we can thank Putin for the tax cut. Because, like Jim said, is a global cabal. He didn't say global cabal, but let's read back. I still have, I got rid of it. But he said it's part of a global thing, 100%. There's nothing you can really do about it, man. You pray. You should always pray. Always pray. That's all you can do. Then recognize these guys are so far above us. Why spend time worrying about it? I had a guy just posted, what's the way I can get, how can I move cash so the feds can't track me? I'm like, you can't, dude. They can track everything they want. If they want you, they're going to get you. By and large, we're like, most people are getting themselves. Nah, I love your thoughts. We'll see you